Dalton Sharp, pastor of Faith Christian Centered Church. If everyone would please silence your cell phones, and if you so choose, please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, how we do thank you today for this day that you made. Father, as we gather for this final council meeting of this year, we pause with hearts full of thanksgiving. Thank you for your sustaining grace that has carried us through every challenge, every debate, and every decision made in this chamber. Father, you have watched over this city. You've preserved us, you've provided for us, and even in the midst of all the challenges, you've proven that your grace is still greater than any obstacles we face. Father, you said in your word for us to pray for all those in authority, that we may live a quiet and peaceable life. Father, I thank you for every leader in this room, our mayor, council members, staff, and every engaged citizen. I speak refreshing over them now in the name of Jesus. Let weariness be replaced with renewed energy. Let every lesson from this year become wisdom for the next. Father, we boldly declare that the best is yet to come for Beaumont. Father, I thank you that you are the God of order, the God of peace, and the God of progress. You said whatever we bind on earth is bound in heaven, and whatever we loose on earth is loosed in heaven. We bind every spirit of division, every spirit of contention, and every spirit of confusion, and we loose the spirit of unity, clarity, and integrity in this place. Your word declares in Isaiah 43 and verse 19, "Behold, I am doing a new thing." Father, we believe that. We declare new momentum, new favor, new partnerships, and new vision for the city of Beaumont. We're not going backward, we're going forward together in Jesus' name. So as we wrap up this year, we don't just close the books, we open our hearts to what's next. We walk out of here today with joy, with resolve, and with faith that you're not done with Beaumont yet. Father, we ask you to cover this city, bless every neighborhood, and may 2026 be a year of progress, peace, and prosperity. In Jesus' name, amen. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, under God, and justice for all.
May I have roll call, please?
Mayor West.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Turner.
Here.
Councilmember Durio.
Here.
Councilmember Hilliard. Here. Councilmember Williams. Councilmember Sherwood. And Councilmember Crenshaw. Thank you.
All right, today we have two presentations. First, we have a communication update from the City of Beaumont Communication Department.
Good afternoon, everybody. In this week's announcements, the city's annual Hanukkah menorah lighting ceremony is coming up this Thursday, December 18th at 5 p.m. at Riverfront Park in downtown Beaumont. In partnership with Temple Emmanuel, the city will celebrate the Festival of Lights with traditional blessings and music. Families are especially encouraged to come out. Kids can enjoy holiday activities with the Beaumont Children's Museum and the Beaumont Public Library. Join us for this joyful evening as we light the menorah and share the hope and warmth of Hanukkah. The City of Beaumont Sterling Pruitt Activity Center is excited to host a basketball draft for the upcoming Winter Basketball League. If you have a child who loves basketball or is interested in trying something new, we'd love to see them there. The draft will be held Saturday, December 20th at the Sterling Pruitt Activity Center. That's at 2930 Gulf Street. Ages 4 to 9 start at 9 a.m. and those 10 to 13 at 11. Come join us for a fun and active winter season on the court. The holiday spirit is in full swing at Beaumont Animal Care. Their Home for the Holidays adoption event is a perfect chance to welcome a new furry friend into your home for the holidays. And if adopting isn't on your list right now, you can still help by fostering through information. Call 409-838-3304 or check out the Beaumont Animal Care Facebook page. Get in on the holiday movie magic at the Jefferson Theater. We have 5 holiday movies showing from now through the weekend. Thursday, December 18th, it's The Christmas Romance, The Holiday. On the 19th, catch Buddy, everybody's favorite elf, and then cash in on 2 double features with the Polar Express and Home Alone on December 20th, and White Christmas and the Muppet Christmas Carol on December 21st. Come get into the Christmas spirit at the historic Jefferson Theater. A reminder, Beaumont City offices, including Zip Transit and Solid Waste, will be closed on Christmas Day, December 25th, and on New Year's Day, January 1st. There will also be reduced hours of operation for Zip on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve so that our employees can enjoy the holidays with their families. We hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season, and that's all for this week's announcements.
Thank you. Now we have a Mural Fest presentation from Mrs. Emily Wheeler, Director of Event Services, Mrs. Freddie Willard, Beaumont CVB Executive Director, and Mr. Min Day, co-creator of the Beaumont Mural Fest.
Good afternoon. Min Dai, who is here with us today, is going to be presenting on his plans for the 2026 Mural Fest, now in its 5th year. My department is involved in Mural Fest, for those of you that are not familiar, because I'm kind of the conduit between city services and major events that happen in our venues or in downtown streets. The last couple of years, Mural Fest has taken place at either the Event Center or the Civic Center. I'd also like to mention that Mural Fest is a budgeted event, and each department involved has the funding to support the event the way that it's being presented today. Mural Fest does involve private and public buildings, but Min is here today to share the proposed city buildings that he would like to find muralists to paint on. He would return later in a couple of months with some drafts for those buildings should he receive your approval to move forward today. But in the meantime, before he comes up, Freddie Willard with the CVB will be talking to you about the economic impact and impact on tourism that the festival makes.
Thank you, Emily. Good afternoon, Mayor West, City Council members, and the executive staff. As Emily mentioned, Mural Fest 2026 will be the 5th anniversary of the festival. And it all began at a fenced area at the corner of Orleans and Liberty Streets. It has continuously evolved, with the last year featuring a kids zone at the Beaumont Civic Center and a community mosaic. The Beaumont Convention and Visitors Bureau has been a partner of Mural Fest each year, and that's why we're here today, as support to Min Dai and Jay Music, the organizers. Mural Fest has been good for the community that continuously has great attendance. It creates a buzz about Beaumont through social media channels and brings in visitors, which is what it's really about. For the record, again, I'm Freddie Willard, Executive Director for the Beaumont Convention and Visitors Bureau. Enhancing our community through public art is the key role of Mural Fest, and to tell a story and showcase Beaumont through history and through murals. Each year, because of the festival, it's added some outstanding artwork. Last year, 10 new murals were added, making Beaumont a true canvas of creativity. The overall mission is basically to establish Beaumont as a vibrant arts destination, and I think we've seen that over the years. The artists that are invited to come and create art are encouraged to go live on their social media channels throughout the week, and each has tremendous following. We even built a community mosaic last year, and it's housed out at Cattail Marsh. And then you can see the cubes that was built last year and painted by local artists out at Terrell Park. So please be sure to go out. Now let's talk some numbers, exactly what Mural Fest means. Out of the attendance, we've seen attendance be 15,000 in the past, up to 22,000 over the week and over the weekend. 31% of those visitors are from out of town. 42% that attended, they spent money at our local businesses. And 34% of the visitors that came into town were from out of state. So that says something about the Mural Fest, that it's bringing out-of-state visitors, not just, from Houston and things of that nature. And this festival has grown over the years. Mr. Dye is scheduled to come up and after me with the presentation. What's being proposed, the location, the layout, we hope that it draws an even larger crowd for 2026, and this is a fun, great event for the community. To sum it all up, because of Mural Fest, Beaumont is home to 66 murals. We hope it creates welcoming and vibrant spaces and enhanced city aesthetics. We are happy that Mural Fest has provided a platform for local artists, and we are able to celebrate our local history and culture. As you think about the murals that you've seen about town, just think about which one is your favorite one. I know I have a favorite, and many to come. So with that said, Min is here to share his vision about what Mural Fest 2026 will look like. Ben, you want to come up?
Mayor West, council members, Mr. City Manager, Ms. City Attorney, and city members, thank y'all for having me. Our goal is to continue what we started last year, improving and continue developing the festival's relationship with the city by improving on second phase of the city of the Civic Center, and also bridge the gap between the Civic Center into the newly opened Riverfront Park. So some of the services that's being requested by the festival, obviously emergency personnel, CBB is involved with helping with the budget for marketing and events. Also the facility maintenance, which is going to help with prepping city buildings and city walls. And health department with allowing our local food trucks to be able to be vendors at the festival. So some event elements to cover. Our plan is to have several murals go up on phase 2 for the Civic Center. We'll continue with our cube and faux walls that we created from sponsors, and those will be positioned throughout the Riverfront Park during the festival. After the festival, they will be moved over to Terrell Park, which Terrell Park has now become an outdoor art gallery, if you guys have visited. And these artwork stay up anywhere from 2 to 5 years without any issues. We'll have live music, have a kids event, local food trucks, local vendors. We'll have art parade that's going to be catered to the Riverfront Park. And we will have an option with the help of Emily to have the Civic Center if we have a rain option. The proposed themes, as far as all city buildings, we have very strict guidelines for our incoming artists. We try to give them creative freedom, but these are the topics that they are being told to try to stick to for this year's festival. We have our Smelltop Oil 125th anniversary. This is also Jefferson Theater's 100th anniversary. And as far as wildlife and nature, the Nature's River, the birding, and also the port. And one thing that we try to do is take in consideration for outside recommendations after the festival. And one topic that they felt like was not being covered was the talent of not only art, but athletics that comes out of Beaumont, Texas. So that would be something that we're trying to get in the feature this year. And this is the first location for this year's Community Mosaic Project. If you were at the festival last year, we were able to have the community create together, every family, children that had the opportunity to put the logo for last year's festival on a mosaic canvas. Mosaic is basically art created out of tile. They have no expiration date. They will last a lifetime. And this piece was a centerpiece for the art museum. It was on showcase, which is now being displayed at Terrell Park. Our goal is to take the current brick walls that you see, the 4 foot high, have it finished, and do abstract art mosaic to brine the entry into Riverfront Park. This is something that if city was to do maintenance on, do repairs in the future, that the mosaic can take care of that right now and incur no additional future costs for the city. These are the added locations that we proposed for the outside of the Civic Center, which is going to be in front of the main entry of the Children's Museum. These are 2 pieces that we have pegged for this year to continue what we did last year. And these locations obviously will be part of the guideline. And for any city buildings, if we do get your blessing, all the artists will provide mock-ups of what will actually go on the building prior to it being painted. This is the entry into the Civic Center on the right. It will continue what we started last year, and it will also be a part of the underground tunnel entry into the new Riverfront Park. And this is also the Beaumont Animal Care, looking to give them an uplift. And just please keep in mind, when we do the uplift for these buildings, not only are we just putting new artwork, we provide maintenance updates to make sure the longevity of the buildings. And I just want to thank you guys again for allowing me to give back to Beaumont in my own way. The last 4 years it was a tough start, but with the relations that we have built with the city has gotten better every single year. With the help of CBB, Beaumont Events, we have now been able to create something that has international reach. We have a catalog of hundreds of artists that want to be a part of the festival. The festival does not reach out to artists. Our festival is invitational only. Artists reach out to our festival wanting to get in. They get on the waiting list, and Jay curates who he feels is best to fit what we're looking for that year. So Beaumont has built a reputation based on hospitality and then what we have done for the artists when they came in, that we have, since year one, we have some artists that have been returning every single year at no additional cost. They come back because they love the city, they want to contribute to it as we continue to add to what Mural Fest can accomplish. And I'm here to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate all you've done too, and your leadership on that. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And for those that are here for presentations and you'd like to leave, now's the time to do so. I want to thank you for coming, but also I want to remind people we did the overflow conference room at the end of the hall there is streaming this live. If you want to go down there and sit down, you can see it there as well. At the close of the meeting today, City Council will adjourn into executive session to consider matters related to the deliberation of the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate or real property in accordance with Section 551.072 of the Government Code, to wit, 640 2nd Street. And at this point, we're going to move into public comments. Now's the time for any citizen who wishes to speak. You may make public comments on the consent agenda or regular agenda items 1 through 9 or any other topic. Citizens wishing to speak on items 10 and 11 will also be given an opportunity to speak during the public hearing. However, if you speak at the beginning, you will not be able to speak twice. So you choose one to speak in. The city clerk will call your name. When it's your time to speak, you will approach the podium. Please say your address, city, and state if it hadn't been said. You will have 3 minutes for public comments. The green light will come on when you approach the podium, and the red light will come on when your time is up. Please realize that while you're at the podium, members of council are not able to respond to your comments or questions. However, we will attempt to get those questions addressed, and perhaps city staff will be able to get with you before we leave.
Gary, and I think that's Yellett, 5785 Old Dallin Road, Beaumont, Texas.
Sit. Stay. Hello, council. My name is Gary Joe Yellett. I live at 5785 Old Dallin Road, Beaumont, Texas, 77706. I'm here to comment on that property. Has taken heavy scrutiny from the city of Beaumont for its conditions. And I've lived there for 6 years now, and I wanted to comment that I lived outside for over 20 years, 16 years on Skid Row, and hopeless variety, addicted to drugs and alcohol. But due to living at this property and the stability of an address, the things that became possible to me was multiple surgeries, organ transplant. All my teeth have been replaced. I just walked the stage with an accredited degree at Lamar December the 12th as substance abuse counseling. I'm a member of the Recovery Council of Southeast Texas now. I could spend all my time going over monetary gains, but I will spare you. Where I live does have a walk-in shower. It does have a toilet. It does have endless hot water supply. It has a kitchen. It has a place. These are common areas for the purpose of this place is to help drug addicts get into rehab. That's what we do there. We're about saving lives, and I am the face of reform. I'm going for my bachelor's now in psychology for mental health. We deal with a lot of mental health. And on the public news, we've all seen how this city deals with the homeless community. Well, where I live, that place makes college graduates out of them. And I want y'all all to consider this. And sure, we might not pass all the codes, but maybe the city could help us with that instead of hinder us from the goal of making this city a better place by helping the homeless community and drugs and alcohol. Because drugs and alcohol shows no respect of person, from under the bridge, skid row junkie to the judge behind the bench, can all suffer from substance abuse addictions, among others. And my name is Gary Joe Yellett Jr. Thank you.
Thank you.
Billy, and I think the last name is Woolley, 5785 O'Dallon Road, Beaumont, Texas.
Hey, I'm Billy Woolley, and I do own that property. I'm a first-generation Vietnam War refugee. I come from a country that fell to a war that doesn't have this freedom that we have here. So I'm a 30-year business owner. The property was zoned multifamily dwelling and commercial when I purchased it. I ran a car dealership when Calder was under the knife. So I ran a car dealership there for years, and that's where I got my certificate of occupancy. When I realized I had a problem with drugs and alcohol, although me and Gary look different, we suffer from the same disease. I realized that I needed to get help, and when I got help, I seen that there was a gap in the system. So we have some great avenues here in Beaumont with OZAR and ADAC. They will screen you and get you a government grant for a government bed. The problem with that is it may be 3 to 5 days before you can get an appointment. And then after you get an appointment, it may be anywhere from 2, 3, sometimes up to 4 weeks before one of these treatment centers, Land Manor or Unity Treatment Center or Revive, gets you a bed. In our 12-step program that we do, it says we are supposed to house them. We're supposed to love our fellow brother, recovering alcoholic or addict, male or female. We're supposed to house them in our house. Unfortunately, me doing that has brought some charges against me. Because us alcoholic addicts, if you don't know, participate in criminal activities. And we also, we lie when we're coming off of drugs and alcohol. But after we connect with our higher power and we try to give back, I realized that this gap in the system was a dire need for our community. And housing these guys and females at my house was not working. I was losing cars, TVs, guns, yada, yada. So I started sleeping them behind the car lot. And it was just one guy just staying in an old building that I wasn't using anyways. When I purchased the property, it had electricity in these buildings. I didn't think nothing of it. They're insulated. But then they needed a shower. So, of course, we put a shower there. And then they needed a toilet, and then we put a toilet there. But I'm saying all this because now I have a problem. I have a zoning problem. If any of you have ever been to a deer camp or up to the lake and stayed in a cabana, you stay in a cabana with electricity. That's it. And then you use a common shower. And that's what gave me the idea to do this. So that's what we've done. But the City of Beaumont doesn't have a zoning for this right now. And that's what we're looking for help for. Some kind of zoning that greenlights us to continue to help these homeless, recovering alcoholic addicts. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Calvin Carrier, 4690 Prairie Street, Beaumont, Texas.
Pick it up a little higher. Good afternoon. I'm here in support of a man that I deeply respect, Fire Chief Earl White. When Chief was selected as the fire chief, he was the best person for the job, and I feel that that is still the case today. Why? Well, I'll let the facts speak for themselves. Since Chief White has taken over, we have more firefighters with higher EMS certifications. We have more paramedics. Well, I'm saying we, I spent 28 years in the department, so excuse me. They have more paramedics. They have more advanced EMTs than any other time in the history of the department. They have more EMS units on the street. They have more firefighters on the street protecting the citizens. And as a citizen of Beaumont, that means a lot to me. Chief White has bettered the equipment they have, from the fire trucks to the fire engines to the personal protective equipment, everything. Everything is better than it was when he took over. And I feel like it would be a big mistake to let personal feelings and politics get rid of a man that has done so much for this city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carlton Sharp, 5150 Plant Road, Beaumont, Texas.
Mayor, council, staff, and citizens of Beaumont. Today I want to speak plainly about leadership, because leadership is not defined by a title, a vote, or a position. Leadership is defined by example. At its core, leadership means modeling the behavior that you expect from others. It means that the same rules applied to the public must also be applied to those who govern. You cannot ask citizens to respect the process if leaders themselves treat the process as optional. Rules are foundational for trust. They exist to ensure fairness, transparency, and accountability. And when leaders follow the rules, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient, they send a clear message that no one is above the system. That is why it's important to remember that interference with the city manager's duties violates the city charter. The charter clearly outlines roles and responsibilities for a reason: to protect the integrity of city operations, to prevent overreach, and to ensure professional management from political pressure. Respecting that boundary is not a suggestion, it is a requirement. But when rules are bent, ignored, or selectively enforced, confidence erodes. People stop believing in the process, not because they don't care, but because they no longer see consistency. And once trust is broken, progress becomes much harder to achieve. Our community is watching. Citizens learn more from what leaders do than from what they say. When leaders follow the rules, it encourages civic engagement, restores confidence, and creates unity. When leaders disregard them, it breeds division, cynicism, and disengagement. If we want our residents to believe in this city, we must first demonstrate belief in the systems that govern it. If we want accountability from others, it must start here on this dais. Beaumont doesn't need perfect leaders. It needs consistent ones. Leaders who respect the rules, honor the process, and understand that examples is the most powerful form of leadership. Because at the end of the day, leadership is not proven by authority, it's proven by integrity. Thank you.
Albert Harrison, 1240 Ashley, Beaumont, Texas. Mr. Harrison, you checked public hearing and public comments. Do you want to speak now or during the public hearing?
Now, thank you. Mayor, City Council, other city employees, and other concerned citizens that are present. My comments today are somewhat looking at the ways in which the fire department union has endorsed certain things. They have endorsed, for instance, every white candidate and only one black candidate. The benefit of that is considered by looking at the billboards that the fire union and other signs they put out. These particular signs and billboards benefited other individuals other than. We still stand with her and protect her. I'm talking about Ms. Sherwood. We support you and we stand by you. Now I will look at all the other issues, such as this fire union has went into what I consider as backroom and sidebar deals. And if anybody supports that, then you know your position, and we know it too. We all know that they come into our communities talking about working together. But yet and still now, some of them are speaking up for groups that largely are chosen not to live in our communities. So I say they can go to their community and vote, but they can vote for other people. Not here because they can't vote here. They don't live here. Now, the other thing that I often wondered why the Beaumont Police Department union had two unions, one white, one black. I wonder why was that. Now I understand more clearly now, because the white union selects individuals that they want to endorse, that the black people don't agree with. So that's a cause for the two unions. I didn't understand that until I began to read the depositions and go through some of the questionnaires that the black union was doing at that particular time. So now I say one solution. I don't think that a fireman should be a member of the firemen's union and don't live here.
Thank you.
Margaret Goliath, 3430 Avalon, Beaumont, Texas.
Thank you for all the conversations that has obviously been had all over our lovely city. This is a very difficult time for our city, but with difficulty is growth. As a past teacher, separating fights in the hall, sometimes you have to apply those sort of skills in everyday life, unfortunately. Well, as I have tootled around town the last 2 weeks since the previous city council meeting, my friends have come at me with bear claws and pit bull teeth and said, "Why aren't you saying something?" I said, "You know what? I appreciate every one of you for what you do. Maybe different than a lot of these people think you should be doing. But in reality, we're all here for the same purpose." And so, as a mother of extended archives, I came across this little jewel. Mayor West, I think he's the one that created this. If you've not read it, I'll be happy to share an email. I'll send it to you. But it talks about our plan for our city. And nowhere in this plan does it talk about arguing about things that you can't truly go back and change. The only thing you can change is how you handle it in the future. So if you have some mistakes that have been made, nothing wrong with that, as long as you don't make them again. And it's okay to stand up and talk about what you believe. That's what makes us Americans. They don't have this right in Pakistan. And I'm not saying anything bad about the Pakistanis. But but nonetheless, Beaumont deserves the very, very best from all of us. And I think this is a good start. Yeah, this room has never been really quite this full, unless, of course, we have Lamar University here getting some sort of accommodations or whatever, which is great. I'm a Lamar graduate. But this requires everybody pull together, kind of sidestep some things,
Thank
but
you,
let's
ma'am.
go forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony Renfro, 6110 Bankston Lane, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. I'm here today as a citizen of Beaumont. I want to speak plainly about the decision before you. This is not a routine personal action. This is not an internal matter to be brushed aside. This is a decision that goes to authority, governance, and public safety. The Beaumont Fire Department is a life-saving organization. Firefighters are city employees. They do not set their own contracts, they do not select their leadership, and they do not govern this city. The city charter places that responsibility squarely on this city manager. And that is why what you do here matters so deeply. Removing a fire chief without clear documented performance-based calls does more than improve one person. It sets a precedent. President, that says leadership in Beaumont public safety departments is unstable and subject to pressure rather than the law. Once that precedent is set, it does not stop with the fire department. It tells every department heard that experience and results are no longer protection. It tells every employee that the chain of command is negotiable. And it tells every citizen that the charter exists only until it becomes inconvenient. If Chief Earl White and his assistant has failed in their duties, then this council owes the public transparency. Facts on the records, not assumptions or pressure. If it has not, then destabilizing a public safety department is not leadership. It is recklessness. This is not about personality. It is not about pleasing anyone. It is about whether the council govern the charter or react to just noise. Now, let me be clear in closing. This decision, like this, define you, council. They define whether authority is exercised by discipline or surrender. They define whether public safety is protected or politicized. And they define whether the city charter is upheld or weakened for every future council to explore.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Tony Carrier, 4240 Inez Street, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to come address what happened 2 weeks ago, and I'll read what I want to say. I've been here watching this play out on council. I've watched the council members disregard the charter, disregard the community, and create unnecessary division, then pretend they don't know what they're doing while hiding behind rabbit holes, about free speech, physical conservatism, and performance. Let's be honest, what this is really about. It's about firing someone and hiring someone else, possibly their friends. I don't know. So here's my question. If you claim to be concerned about taxpayers' dollars, how do you justify actions that invite lawsuits that expose the city to major physical financial risk? If the chief happens to sue the city, that's a problem. And now it appears that some of you might even possibly want to sue your own city. That will cost the taxpayers thousands upon thousands of dollars. You know, make this make sense. You know, it's just incredible how you don't understand that. I mean, all of us see the uncertainties that surround us today with our central government. And please understand the central government makes it trickles down. So why would a city want to divide, especially with the newcomers? And I'm not talking about the new female, the newcomers, you know. I'm just really sad because as soon as it looks like we're trying to move forward, you're trying to make people lose their jobs. People are losing their jobs all over the country. This is insane. You know, please come to grips with yourselves and, you know, and just try to have some kind of heart. You know, it don't take your brain. Use your heart, you know, in some sense. And it's illegal, like they said. It's not in the charter for you to be able to even be able to do this, you know. And, you know, I just feel real sad today because of, you know, what's going on in the city right now today. You know, let's just try to move forward and stop spraying your testosterone around.
LaShawn Proctor, 4680 Jan Carr Drive, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is LaShawn Proctor, 4680 Jan Carr, Beaumont, Texas. Just came today to kind of say a little bit about the situation that's going on. And the young man that was here earlier about the situation, I often, when he was talking, simply just looked at him and said, you know, you always can't judge a book by its cover. You know, because one gentleman looks one way like the other one looks another way, and everybody goes through the same thing when they talk about homelessness and drugs and all of those things. And for them, just an important, that's not really why I'm here, but I just would hope somebody can help them because we're trying to help our homeless. We have to find somewhere for them to go. And it sounds like they're trying to find somewhere and help them, but whatever obstacles they're having, hopefully we can help them get that done. But my main thing here is, as everyone else, is just to speak on the situation. When the council got elected and all of you guys were running and everybody, I really had a whole lot of hope saying that, you know what, now we're going to make this city really come into the place of where we want it, moving forward. A lot of the divide with the old council, how things was divided and all of those things, just the perception that it was being given. We're just hoping that, you know, we wouldn't have that no more. And it would just be a bunch of new people, because it was always a thing of saying that you didn't have no experience because you was new. And it was always the experience. When we ran before, it was about experience. And I was always an advocate saying it doesn't take experience to make anything. You just have to have a heart and knowledge and want to make it work. In business, nobody has always experience when they start a business. They have the drive and the heart and the want to make it work. And in that, you do whatever it takes, some good, some bad, and all of those things. That's the hope that I had for the council and moving forward with the city, because again, new blood, new ideas, new things to say, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to make it work, and everybody to make it work together. We've always judged a man on his merit. And I just say that even with Chief White. Everybody's been judged on their merit. If you do a good job and you do those things and you make it work, then you get rewarded for your merit. If you got things in your record, you're not a good employee, then we all business owners, we get rid of them. The ones that's good, we keep them. No matter what adversity, we don't get to pick the boss. You own your business. If your worker said, I don't like the boss, I'm firing you today, how you gonna look at that? The worker don't get to fire the boss. And if you don't like who you working for, find another job. I worked in the union. I was union rep for BS.
Let's hold our comments and allow.
Oh, it's
Proctor
done?
No, you. I just didn't want the audience.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's right.
I worked for BNSF, and I was a union rep for BNSF. Some of the people that was over me, I ain't like them. You know what I'm saying? I did not like my bosses, but I didn't have the ability, even as a union rep, to go tell them that I didn't like them. At that point, it was back in the day, you gone. You know what I'm saying? You don't like us? Okay, we're gonna get rid of you. But I just think it's one of those things to where, even with Chief White, and I know a lot about his background, I don't know that. But again, if you look in his record, whatever his jacket says, and his jacket says he's no good,
Thank you, Mr.
then get rid of him.
Francis Bowman, 5415 Concord Road, Beaumont, Texas.
Well. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I was getting tired over there. I'm here to uplift, bring understanding, and show my love. Ernest Hemingway wrote this in his book. No man is an island entire of himself, for every man is involved in mankind. We are in this together. I came this morning. I'm not the oldest one in here, okay, but I'm up there in the 80s. And I asked permission to do something. Sometimes the little things you do in life makes a lot of meaning to other people. I got permission. Thank you, thank you. I have gifts for each of you today as a gesture of my love for Beaumont, Texas, Jefferson County, and you all as our elected officials. Sometimes things don't go right, but remember this one thing: we are in this together. So now, if I don't know where my best friend Virtue went, but I'm gonna get Miss Alexander. But I have one friend in here. I need to get these out. Could someone come help me, please? Okay, great.
I'll take them out for you.
Okay. I need the one. This is the first one I'm gonna present.
This one?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Miles,
you.
could you help
Mr.
him?
Mayor, I love you. I've been in Beaumont 25 years. It's my home. That Lucas Street railway track. For agreeing with her. Joey.
Durio.
For your service, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your service. God bless you. In closing, this one is for Ms. Alexander. In closing, let me say this. The greatest thing that we have among each other as we live on this planet Earth is love.
When a lot of fish was going up for their new seats, when a lot of fish was going up for their new seats to sit down, to be elected to these seats, they made statements. They said when they came here, they wasn't gonna be going after people's jobs. They was gonna come and work together and be together. I was at all of them. I even got them on video, statements they made. But it seemed like now, since certain people's in certain positions, they start shooting at certain people's jobs. First, they come at the city manager, then they come at the fire chief. And it's a lot of people that don't even live here, and they try to come here and bring division among the people here that's trying to get the city together. And it's not right. Like they say, if you don't live here, you don't like what's going on, you don't pay taxes here, you need to stay where you at. If you don't like what the man doing, then move around. But I come here today, I just been chilling, I ain't been coming, but I keep receipts, and I got a bunch of them. I just ask y'all, please come together, like the lady said, and try to get along and fix it. Because if you keep dividing, keep going here and going here, everything gonna go haywire. But thanks, Mrs. Donna, for what you're doing for Ward 3. We appreciate you, and keep doing what you're doing. But we all gotta follow rules and regulations. Y'all have a blessed day.
Rodney Robichaux, 5255 Merlot, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. Thank y'all for doing what you do, volunteer your time to get beat up, basically, when things don't go the way that some people see how it should go. But I'm a believer that God put us all together at this time for a purpose. And sometimes some tough comments come out that will change the direction of the wind. It's not always bad. It's good to hear the truth, because God says the truth will set you free. God's promise is He's with you. He goes before you, and God loves you. So we as a community, we're all here together as one. When someone makes a comment that you don't agree with, we don't need to throw darts. We need to know the rules and the regulations and why. Talking to some fire folks here and watching the news these last few weeks, unbelievable what's been going on. The fires in the city, we've all been aware of it. The lives that have been saved by these firemen, unbelievable. I believe the understanding is 5 people were saved in the last 3 weeks. These men have been called racist of the fire department for what they said about their department leader. I think they're a great group. They have different opinions. Sometimes there's a tug of war. But what we do know is that 5 lives of Beaumont were saved this last 3 weeks. One recently, in a 2-story apartment. The fire was going on. The fire people are there. And they're asking the parents of a child to toss me the baby. They hesitated, then they trusted, and they dropped their baby into the fireman's arms. And then they jumped to their safety. Some, my understanding is, may not made it, but we know that 5 were saved through the last 3 weeks. The fireman was asked, who did you?
Hello, Mayor, Council, City leaders. I'll come up here today to state that my mom is a uniter, not a divider. Recently, life presented some challenges, and before she chose to fight, She went above and beyond to reach out to everyone involved. I don't know every detail of what's happening here today, but I do know this. I'm here to support someone who has supported me, my friends, my family, and this entire community. One thing I know for certain, if you're against her, you're on the wrong side of history. Thank you.
Aaron Reynolds Jr., 6945 Salida Lane, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, Mayor, council, staff, and the citizens of Beaumont. From the outside looking in, this isn't about personalities or politics. It's about whether the rules mean anything. The city charter exists for a reason. It sets boundaries so no single council member or group of them can operate by ego, impulse, or convenience. When these boundaries are ignored, governance breaks down. Within 30 days of being sworn in, the charter was violated. Grace was extended, as it often is when people are new. But instead of correction, the behavior escalated. A council member attempting to recruit a fourth vote outside of a public meeting is not a misunderstanding. It's a clear charter violation. Council members inserting themselves into staff operations without the city manager coordinating, that's not leadership. That's called interference. This was not ambiguous. Council received briefings from the city attorney and the city manager. They were provided copies of the charter and were explicitly instructed on their limits, especially regarding employees. These limits were ignored. Employees felt targeted. That alone should have stopped the behavior, but it did not. The city manager formally raised concerns in writing on May 21st regarding charter violations and interferences. Less than 30 days, the same conduct occurred again. There is also a documented pattern involving disclosures of executive sessions information to the press, information that is legally protected and the foundations of the public trust. And to that improper involvement in fire union negotiations, conduct that directly undermined the city position will cost taxpayers of the city of Beaumont significant money. The most alarming moment came when council members publicly called for the resignation or forced removal of the fire chief, an authority that the council simply does not have. This is not a gray area. It's a hard stop. From the outside, this looks like disagreement. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Chris Jones, 1045 Doucette Avenue, Beaumont, Texas. Mr. Jones, you checked public hearing and public comments. Which would you like to speak? Thank you. Alexa Morgan, 5870 Chapel, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, citizens of Beaumont. I have a few talking points I would like to share with everyone and for the council on Chief White's behalf.
Over 75% of firefighters work in Beaumont, Texas, but live outside the city limits. Yet we have elected officials advocating politically for a group of individuals who do not live here, but choose to earn their income here. That's a problem. How can an organization politically endorse candidates for Beaumont offices when many of the members are not citizens of Beaumont? There is a reason that everyone that is sitting on this dais is required to be a resident of the city to run for office. A business owner, as I am, I do not allow my employees to determine how I run my business. It is concerning that some of you who have businesses are comfortable with a fire union attempting to dictate how Chief Earl White operates and manages the fire department. It's obvious that the fire union endorsed several candidates sitting here today. We are all naive, and we are not all naive. What the public is witnessing now looks like those endorsements are being repaid, specifically when it comes to pressure surrounding Chief White and his position. We should also ask why the city has been able to negotiate contracts, resolve issues with the police department, police union, without constant controversy. While nearly every week there are headlines, drama, also, and disputes involving the fire union regarding overtime. You cannot fairly compare public safety to the other city departments, and fire and police services are essential functions of the city that cannot operate without them. However, they must be asked why two council members repeatedly criticize fire overtime, yet have remained silent on police overtime, which has been just as high over the recent years. Consistency matters, transparency matters, and putting the city of Beaumont and residents first must always come before political favors or union pressure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Addie Allen, 9695 Gross, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, City Manager, Mayor West, and Council, administrative staff. I'm so happy to see citizens out here today. I wish it was like this every council meeting. In fact, we shouldn't be meeting here, we should be meeting over there on productive things about this city. I said I wasn't gonna even talk on this issue because, Mr. City Manager, in this charter that's dated November 7, 2023, it gives you the authority to hire and fire. We shouldn't even be we shouldn't be pontificating, I'm using a big word today, about this issue because it's clearly written in the book, the Home Rule Charter. I read it just like I read my Bible, and this is what we all should be reading. So understand me well, there was a lot of money paid on a comprehensive study on duties of city employees. What's going on? He's evaluated. Who looked at the evaluation? We've got to stop this because I can't go and eat but one place downtown when I leave here. You know, it's atrocious that we've seen all these different studies of places, what the city is going to look like. Let's do about the city business. That's why you were elected. Now, that's good. All right. What I want to say is thank you. I had a water leak. I believe it's fixed. And I thank you. I thank you. We have a train 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning out there in Amelia, And I thank you because it looks as though by the end of February, we won't be hard of hearing. The people that sleep at night will sleep. You know, those that are sick won't be disgusted. You know, all of those things. So that's positive. So I admonish you, let's stop talking crap. God has given you the ability to be elected. You spent money to say what you were going to do. Now do it. As simple as that. As simple as that. And then this change order, I have asked over and over and over, do we have an ordinance or whatever on the change order? Do we have best practices? Because we have a change order for cattail today. If it's more money, let us know. If it's less money, I've been told change orders are done that way. You know, so I have not been told.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for your service. Have a good day.
Other members of the legislative body expressing their right to speak and express disapproval of the actions of a colleague. Now that we have our definition straight, let me get to the point. 2 of the 4 city council members that represent me are on the agenda today and face the possibility of being censured by the city council. Why? Is it because they publicly called for the resignation of the fire chief and his assistant, saying that they were not doing their job properly? No. If they had stopped there, they probably would not be facing a censure. But they went further. Councilmember Williams said, and I quote, "If they will not resign, the city council has no choice but to act. I will make a motion to add to the regular agenda of the December 16th Beaumont City Council meeting to consider the termination of Fire Chief Earl White and his assistant, Christian Singler." That statement is a violation of the Beaumont City Charter.
Yes, it is.
Why? Because the city council does not have the authority to hire and fire city employees. Only the city manager does. The city charter says that the city council members may not in any manner interfere in the removal of employees under the city manager's authority. It further says that members of our city council shall deal with city employees solely through the city manager and shall not give orders to any city employee either publicly or privately. And in my opinion, these council members violated the city charter. Now, I know something about being censured. I was censured in 2020 for using coarse language in a conversation I had with the prior city attorney inside a private office. There were more F-bombs going around than when the Allies bombed Berlin. On both sides. I should have controlled my temper better, but there is a huge difference in getting in a verbal altercation with someone in a private office and in violating the city charter. It is not my place to decide whether Councilmember Williams and Hilliard should be censured. And what I'm about to say may get me banned from Whiskey Fest, and I may have to find another company to pressure wash my rent houses. But I'm going to say it anyway. Stop letting a 24-year-old kid shape your narrative.
Thank you, Councilman.
One more, Abigail Morales, 1045 Church Street. Ms. Morales, did you want to speak during the public hearing, or did you want to speak now? Yes, ma'am. That's all I have, Mayor. Tonight, you have to fill out a green slip. You can fill it out real quick.
Anybody else want a
We have
green
one
slip?
more. You can come on, just give your name and your address for the record, please. Taffy.
Excuse my attire, all my belongings were thrown in the ditch. My name is Tarafian Valeda Richard, and as some of you know, it's hyphenated for Koulibaly. Yes, my ex-husband is a tribal king, and yes, my nephew is His Excellency Koulibaly under President Trump. That is my real name, and many of you know that to be true. I prayed about why I was coming here today, and I'm still confused. These are my legs, and these are my arms from Beaumont Police Department, putting me in chains and putting me in handcuffs.
Ma'am, you have to address council.
Emergency
Thank you.
detention order. I'm a qualified mental health professional in the state of California. I work with suicidal, homicidal children
You have to direct your
for more than 15 years. I have a master's degree in psychology. I was working on my certification. I taught over 171 students at Odom Academy with 91% high growth and high proficiency in mathematics. As recent as Caldwood Elementary, I had over 14 master in 2 weeks because I teach math by hand. I had over 500 in mathematics because I teach by hand. I was minding my business in my home with my aunt and another guest, with my puppies outside, cooking and baking. And one of your officers came to my door because someone scratched up my convertible BMW. I have 7 vehicles. Most of them are in Los Angeles, California in storage because I came here to be a daughter. Something that I take good pride in is being a caregiver to my mother. But you sent the police to my mama's house without an order, and you said I'm suicidal. But I'm filling out applications, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, and I have guests. And you took me in handcuffs to the point that you restrained me, almost unconscious. I'm going blind in my eye because Sergeant Gallinger tased me in the back of my head. This tooth is false because Sergeant Menard body slammed me on 69. There were guns on Caldwood's campus, and I called the police. Why you think she got her walking papers? I have evidence that I produced. The chief said he didn't get anything from me. Sir, that's false. You have emails. Sir, you have emails. Sir, you have emails. Sir, you have emails and phone calls. The only person who tried to address me was the lady sitting right there in that chair. That's the only person that respected me. Lie if you want to, but God is watching. I'm a Native American, a Takapa.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Scars don't lie, Van Hoden. You lied and said I tased you, but your eyes look okay to me.
Do we have anybody else that's wanting to speak? Okay. We have one more, Mayor.
You got 2 hands.
Did you fill out a green slip, ma'am? Okay, if you'll fill out a green slip in the back of the room. She'll bring it to you.
Can we just let them speak and they turn in a green slip afterwards? Yes, please.
You can come on up and give your name and address. That's fine, thank you.
Good afternoon. I wasn't planning to speak, but I am Sean Weblock, 4640 Larry Lane, Beaumont, Texas. Good afternoon, council and everyone in the building. I am coming up here to speak on behalf of a Beaumont citizen, on behalf of myself and a lot of real estate agents in the building here is what propelled me to come up here. We are business owners. We're independent contractors, okay? We don't get a salary. We don't get a retirement. We don't get any of the perks of people who are W-2 employees. And one of the challenges that we are facing as independent contractors and as real estate agents and as business owners, in addition to the school district and the crime rate in our city, those are the 2 main deterrents for people who move, a lot of reload clients that we have that move into our city due to their jobs, medical field, oil and gas, education, okay? So I just want you guys to kind of think about that. We already have so many challenges, so many obstacles of people who want to relocate to Beaumont. And then they ask us about, the crime rate or the education. They see what's going on in the news with BISD. But on top of it now, we have an added obstacle of obviously, what's going on in the city. And again, and I think a lot of my colleagues can agree that that has become another obstacle, another challenge for us as agents. I just want you to think about something. I'm not here to be negative. I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm not here to fuss at anybody or point fingers. I just want you to think about the business owners in this city. This is how we eat. If we don't sell properties, we don't eat. And so I would just ask that I don't care if you're fighting like cats and dogs behind that wall, but when you come before us or, you know, in the paper, social media, wherever it is that our clients and customers can see and do their own due diligence and research on the city of Beaumont and figure out if they want to move here or not, to have, at least appear to have a united front, because it makes our job so much more challenging when they see what's going on in the paper or they see what's going on social media, or they ask us and we have to go to bat for the city of Beaumont and say, hey, listen, don't pay attention to what you're seeing on social media. Beaumont really is a great place to move. Don't pay attention to what you're seeing about the crime rate or the school districts. We really do have great campuses here, because we do. We have Beaumont ISD. We do have great teachers. We have great educators. We really do have great students here. We have great programs. We have Lamar University. We really do have some great amenities in the city of Beaumont, but it makes our job so much more challenging when you add this layer of foolery, I'll call it, that we have to fight up against with customers, clients, and people moving to Beaumont. It negatively impacts us economically when people don't want to move here. So, hope that helps. Thank you.
Thank you.
William Babbitt, no, 1735, and I think that's Burton, Beaumont, Texas.
Good evening, Council. First, I want to give honor to God as I stand up here, because God is the head of my life. And no matter what you say or do, I pray that He leads you in your thoughts and action for this city. As a person in long-term recovery that's been on the battlefield for 34 years, division is not good for any circumstance. I sat back there and I heard the same thing maybe a million times. You cannot go against the charter. You cannot go against the charter. What you want to do, sign executive orders next? Beaumont isn't going for it. I'm here to say that do the right thing. Let's get some stuff done in Beaumont. Let's follow up and finish up what we started. Let's get some things prosperous for this city. I don't know if y'all realize it, but Beaumont is a good place. All you have to do is be a great leader. Don't let it go down the can. Thank you.
Anybody else here to speak?
Anybody else?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. City Manager, I'd like to take the work session on 311 at this point, if you would take us into the work session.
Will do, Mayor, just a second. Council to review and discuss 311 overview. And we have Ms. Angie Wright, our Information Technology Director, to give us a presentation on it.
Check the physical layer first.
Goodness gracious. All right, sorry about that. Good afternoon. I am Angie Wright. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for the City of Beaumont, and I'm the Director over 311. 311 is the city's central non-emergency services center. It handles intake of citizen requests, routing to appropriate departments, and communications. It does not determine timelines, perform repairs, or bypass regulations. 311 is your one-stop resource for city services. We have a total of 6 call takers to support operations daily from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Those 6 call takers are broken into shifts of 4 call takers on weekdays and 2 on the weekends. I'm losing my... 311 handles approximately 6,755 service requests per month and the daily average call volume of 226 requests processed each day. Struggle is real. Citizens can reach 311 by calling 311, using the 311 app, using our new Ask Bo chatbot on our website, and if after-hours calls are necessary, we have an after-hours call tree. For major leaks, main breaks, or critical hazards, citizens and at this point, when you call for after-hours work, citizens must provide callback information so that you can be reached by an on-call person. Some questions you may have. Does the city have other call centers? Yes, but 311 is the only one that handles all types of calls. Will I be rerouted if I call 311? Possibly, but 311 will always do its best to answer anything we can or place a ticket for you before routing you to the appropriate department. What if you send me to the wrong place? 311 always tries their best to get you where you need to go on the first try. But if not, you will either be routed by the department or routed back to 311. What is the service request? Well, now we're calling them investigation requests as of last week, because we feel like that is going to give you a better idea of what exactly the service request does. So when a call comes in, it can be one of 2 things, a request for information or a request for investigation. Request for information, the information is given and the request is closed. These can be citizens' call for informations. Divisions that use software outside of 311 software would be solid waste, animal care, water customer service, water dispatch, and general department request. These would all be handled as a request for information. Citizen calls for information, general questions, what time is the tree lighting? What is going on in town this weekend? Those would all also be considered informational requests that fall under requests for information. For calls that require city staff to go out and look at something, 311 will then initiate an investigation request. From there, it is routed to the department that will handle that investigation. Staff will go out, they'll evaluate it, and then they will see if it is in fact an issue. Sometimes we go out and things have already been remediated. We see that often with high weeds. Someone will put in a request, we'll send an inspector out. By that time, that person has already mowed their lawn. So at that point, the investigation request is closed. If not, if there is, for example, using the same example, high weeds, then the service request is still closed, but it is created into a case. At that point, then the department staff will move forward with the remaining process as for their workflows. And you will now see that we have just a base workflow that almost all of our other workflows are created off of. So for quick reference, all other workflows are going to branch from here, One of the complaints we get mostly about the app is that it shows something is closed, but the issue then persists, and this is why. In the following slides, I'll give a few examples of the additional processes for the investigation process, but you will see that once an investigation is complete, that's investigating whether there's a problem. If there is a problem, then there will either be, dependent on which department is looking into it, there will be a case or there will be a work order created. Those items are not tied into the app. That's one of the biggest questions that we get about the app. Concerns related to animal care can be reported by either calling 311 or submitting a request through the 311 app. Upon receipt, the request is automatically marked as closed in the 311 system. This is done automatically. 311 doesn't do it. No one closes it. It's done automatically, built on the workflow in the back of the software. That is then emailed to our animal control dispatcher, because all animal requests are handled through dispatch. From there, the animal control handles the investigation and any following requests through their own software. Looking at a water leak as an example. A leak can be recorded, again, by calling 311 or by submitting a request via the 311 app. Once reported, the request is directed to a dispatcher, who then forwards it to the appropriate supervisor. The supervisor assigns the request to a designated leak investigator. The investigator visits the site to confirm whether it falls under the city or customer responsibility. If it's the city's responsibility, if the leak is deemed on the city's responsibility, the investigator assesses its severity and location before creating a work order. If it's going to be on the citizen side, they will notify the citizen and then the investigation request will be closed. For prioritization for water leaks, you have low priority. If the leak is not affecting the basic function of any surrounding residences or businesses, for example, low water pressure or lack of water service, then the leak will be determined as non-emergent with no set schedule for repairs. This is one of the most common misconceptions I think we have about the workflow for the water department, is that they basically will triage just like an emergency room. So if you have a water main break, that's going to be before a dress-up work order, or it's going to be before a smaller leak, because you have to handle the larger things first. If it's high priority, the leak is causing loss of pressure or water service, a 311 emergency locate will be called, and the leak will then be repaired within 24 hours. The leak must be affecting water services. 811 defines an emergency as a danger to life, health, or property. If the service is not affected, it is not considered a danger to any of these, and therefore not an emergency. Once the investigator has determined the need for an emergency repair, a work order will be created immediately. 811 emergency locates will be called within an hour of the investigation, and a repair crew will be scheduled to complete the repairs within 24 hours. Looking at the process for code enforcement, I just used weeds. We have several different ones, workflows that you, just like this, that you can see on the city's website. I know it's small, but they do have all of their workflows as part of their website page. Just scrolling through it, a concern regarding weeds or overgrowth is reported via the 311 app or calling 311. The request is reviewed by 311 and directed to the appropriate department. Staff members will then conduct a site inspection to verify the violation and document the conditions. This is them going out taking pictures. They'll measure the height of the grass to make sure it meets the ordinance. If no violation is found, the request is closed with no further action taken. If a violation is confirmed, a case is opened and the property owner is notified. The property owner is provided with a compliance period to voluntarily address the issue. After the compliance deadline, staff re-inspects the property. If the issue is resolved, the case is closed. If the issue remains unresolved, enforcement actions may follow, including citation, abatement, or referral to municipal court until compliance is achieved and the case is closed. So I wanted to give a quick run through of what staff sees when citizens put in a ticket and walk through a handful of quick real-life scenarios. So for this page, you want to note at the bottom that this is a investigation request that has come in for code enforcement. They have gone out, they have evaluated it, they've determined there is an issue. You'll see at the top that the case is closed, and you'll see at the bottom right-hand corner that a case has been created. So even though the investigation has been closed, there is still a pending case for that property. So this is now that case, that same case that we just saw in the previous service request. And in this one, we wanted to point out the workflow that you'll see in the red box in the middle. And you'll see that there are workflows, they'll have to send out letters, there are abatement dates, all have to be followed as part of our ordinance. So you'll see in the page that they have 10 days to abate once they've received their letter. Then they have to go out and schedule a reinspection. Once they reinsspect, they either going to close it, or if it's still not abated, then they have to go through the process of hiring a contractor, putting it on a mow sheet, having it to then be cut, then having to pay for the contractor, and so forth and so on. And all of these background processes are why a case may seem like it is open for a long period of time. So to point out specifically on the weed workflow, I did want to show that weed workflows, once a letter has gone out for weeds, we have what's called a 1-year letter. For 1 year, that letter is good as a notice to the property owner, stating that they can abate weeds for a full year. So all weed work orders or cases are going to be open for a year. So if you go in and you look in the city maps and you're like, why has this weed been open for a year? It's because they are required to keep it open for the full year that the letter is viable. And if you go in and look through the process, you'll see that the workflows just continually start over and over again for the properties that we continually have to cut. On the thing I wanted to point out on the junk motor vehicle workflow is the court process. So as you can see, once they go through all of the process of contacting, sending the certified letter, working with the owner, doing a reinspection, and still nothing has been done, then it has to go through the legal process, which is an additional time period. So we just wanted to show some of the reasons why these cases and these work orders get left open for long periods of time. So for this one, this is going to be a water service request. I do want to point out that it shows that the service request has been closed, but you'll see at the bottom that a work order has been opened. This particular work order is already closed because I think it's been a bit, I had to find one that had multiple steps. For this, I want to point out, now we are in that work order that was tied to that service request, or investigation request. I'm sorry, I'm not quite caught up on the lingo yet. One thing I also want to point out is if you look at the bottom, there is now a child work order. So this is a secondary work order that is now for the dress up. So one of the other questions that we see quite often is, you've come, you've done the work, but my grass still needs to be fixed, or there's still an issue with these pavers that need to be put down. All of that is done by two separate crews. You have our construction crew, and then we have the dress-up crew. And so once the construction crew is finished, when they close that work order, it automatically generates one for dress-up. And so then that's when the dress-up crew will be dispatched to go over there. So they created a case or a work order, but now what? So now they triage, like we talked about previously. with just like an emergency room situation. What is more important? What is our highest priority at this time? So why is it taking so long? This is going to seem a little redundant, but it is important to understand why some of these instances may take so long. So here are just a few examples of why some processes seem to take longer than others. Code enforcement cases can take time because they must follow legally required steps, including notifying the property owner and allowing time for them to correct the issue. If compliance is not achieved, the case may move through re-inspections, court proceedings, or extended monitoring, such as a one-year letter. These steps ensure due process is in accordance with state law while addressing health and safety concerns. Water repairs take time because issues are prioritized by severity. Major mainline breaks are addressed first due to their impact on service and safety, while smaller meter or service line breaks may be scheduled later. This triage ensures the most critical problems are handled first. For street repairs, they're prioritized based on safety and severity. Hazards that pose immediate risks, such as large potholes or structural failures, are addressed first, while less severe issues are scheduled as resources allow. This prioritization ensures the most dangerous conditions are corrected as quickly as possible. So where do you go to see what the status is of your case or your work order? Unfortunately, it is not tied into the app, and we'll get more into that in a minute. But for a case and a work order, and even some service requests, your best place to go is the interactive maps. And right now we are working on getting additional interactive maps out there that we've been told people are interested in seeing. You can also call 311. At any time, 311 can go in and look into your service request and see if a work order has been generated. Once they see if a work order has been generated, they can either review the notes in the work order, or they can contact the department for you and get you to the department to have further conversation. I just wanted to show you that the best place to get to our interactive maps is on our main city's webpage. If you look right next to your 311 information is our interactive maps page. So common questions we get: why is my investigation request closed but the problem still exists? So that is going to be the workflow we discussed previously on our requests being closed and then cases and work orders being generated from them. Why can't I get an update when I put a ticket in on the app? So for the app, we do have some limitations with our app and our current software. We are working through them to do the best we can to make that a more seamless transition, but the app only looks at investigation requests. Once it's turned into a case or a work order, your best option is the interactive maps. Why do I keep getting transferred when I call 311? I do get this quite often, and it is something that we have been working on with each of the departments. A lot of times departments will have staffing changes, they'll have different workflows that they've determined are better for them, and it's just us working with departments to make sure we are as updated on their processes as we can be so that we can send you to the right place. But one other thing that would benefit us for that scenario is if you tell us what you're really looking for. So if someone calls in and they say, I need to talk to someone about litter, there's a lot of litter in this ditch next to my house. Well, then we're going to send you to code enforcement. But then code enforcement might talk to you and might find out, oh no, it's just heavy trash pickup that didn't get picked up last time. So then they're going to route you to solid waste. So the more information that we can get from 311, the better you are at not going to be transferred around to other departments. So what are we doing to enhance the citizen experience? As I said, we're working with departments to streamline the requests. We have an investigation request versus our service request, hoping that that will be a better, more explanatory name for citizens and understanding what is done in this part of the process. We've improved our app responses, which I'll show you on the next page. We are working on getting email updates out to citizens. So if you provide an email address when you turn in your request, we will be able to then send you an email when updates happen on your request. However, the majority of our requests we receive are anonymous. We are also enhancing our interactive maps. As I said before, each of our departments is working on searches within the application so that we are able to provide what is most requested and most called about. And public education and workshops. We are partnering with the Code Enforcement Department and Community Development. They do workshops, educational workshops on different things for community development. And we are also going to join them for a workshop there. We are having this workshop today, and we are looking to work with city communications to enhance additional educational information for citizens to understand the process. So this is a look at the changes that we have made to our response in the app. Previously, it was very ambiguous, and it was your service requests closed. So now, when citizens put in a service request, staff can now, you will see on the second slide, or on the second screenshot, where it says City of Beaumont, no violations found. Well, now staff have the ability, before they close the ticket, they have the ability to send a notice to the person, to the requester. And this is whether or not you allowed it to be anonymous or not, but that's only for the app, because the app knows who you are, we just don't. So they can say no violation found, closing case. They can say found water leak at Main, turning into a work order. And so that will tell you where you are, what you're looking at, and not just closing it without any notification. And then we also have added at the close, it will update and it will give you the investigation for this request has been completed. If the findings indicated additional action required by the city, a work order or case has been created, and it gives you the link to our interactive maps so that you can look up your request. Hoping that this then gives more information to citizens for them to be able to understand why their investigation has been closed. How I can help improve the process, or how can I help improve the process? So with all of that, you might be wondering what can I do to help the process? And that would be, like we discussed, providing clear and detailed information when submitting a request, include contact information if follow-up or updates are desired, use available tools such as maps and online resources to check status updates, allow time for investigations, prioritizations, and required legal processes. Things like investigation request numbers and date and times called are also helpful when contacting staff for them to know when you're requesting them to dig into what a status might be. Questions, comments, jokes?
Well, Mayor, I had one question. I understand it's optional that people can leave their contact information, whether it be a cell phone or an email.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a reason we have to make that optional? Because one of the biggest complaints I get from citizens is the follow-up. Like, what are we actually doing once it's reported? Are we calling to follow up if the problem was fixed and they're satisfied? Like you made the example when they go out and fix a water leak on a resident's property, the water meter might be fixed, but the yard might be kind of destroyed and distorted and left like that for a few weeks. So is it a reason it has to be optional? Because I really prefer it not to be, and what are we doing for follow-up?
So it is required because all of this information is open records. And so if I were to put in a complaint about my neighbor, they have high weeds, they have litter, they have junk, we would not want that neighbor to then put in an open records request and say, who complained about me? And then possible retaliation from that neighbor. Situations like that are why we have to allow for anonymous requesters. As far as follow-up, if you do provide follow-up information, all the directors, we've talked, the directors are requesting that their if you've requested a follow-up, that their staff get with you to follow up once it's closed. And 311 also runs reporting relatively I think over 2 days maybe. And they were all anonymous. We couldn't reach anybody back. We suspect it's the same. We make sure that changes get communicated to 311 as quickly as possible.
And that's one of the reasons we're here today to talk about this, because we have been getting feedback from citizens and council about the 311 process. So during our directors meeting, we sat down and did some discussion and brainstorming on how we can improve those processes. And we'll continue to have those discussions. You know, as she said, some of it's internal to that department. We found out, you know, things are working correctly with 311, but things, a link or a way they do business, sometimes it's not always conducive to making sure 311 is getting the feedback and information it needs. So we're working on that process as we speak.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Hilliard?
Yeah, I'm glad that we're having this workshop because that's one of the biggest complaints and more phone calls I know I get, and I can't speak for everyone on council, is that they did use 311 and they're 3 or 4 weeks out and the problem has not been addressed. Or someone showed up, sprayed some paint on the ground and has not been back. And so, you know, what can we do as a council to make this thing better, to make it to where people don't fall through the cracks, that these repairs and these water leaks, because I mean, we're dumping thousands of gallons of water out while people are waiting. And so they feel frustrated and then they contact us. And so, you know, how can we improve this?
So I know Mike is not here today, but we did discuss a similar issue. So what will happen on that type of situation is they'll come out and they'll prep the work. And it will be on their list of things to do today, tomorrow, this week. And then a water main breaks. So we only have 4 construction crews for water. So they have to go by priority. And if it's cleaning up a small meter leak, that is not going to be as big of a priority and is only done as staff is available to go out there. And they will always dispatch based on their priority levels.
So one thing I guess, hearing what you're saying is communication is something that maybe reaching out to the customer and letting them know, hey, you have not been forgotten about, but we had a 20-inch main break and it's affecting 500 people. And so, you know, I think communication is the key because my constituents reach out and are very frustrated about the 311 process.
Well, and we can, but if they do not provide contact information, there's no way for us to reach back to them. And again, I did not run the exact statistics, but more of our requests come in as anonymous than not. Again, they do actively try to contact people if they have provided their information.
Thank you. Councilman Turner?
So I understand the reason we don't make it mandatory is because of possible disputes with neighbors, but situations where it isn't possible disputes, can it be filtered and made mandatory so we can properly communicate with the people?
They will always try their best to get a contact information, but they're not going to argue with somebody on the phone that's wanting to put in the request.
So we make it clear to them that if they don't give us contact information, we're not going to be able to follow up with them.
Follow-up, we will need contact information.
Right.
And we have found in the past that people will give us contact information, but it'll be erroneous. It will be, you know, Joe Smith at 409-888-8888, and we know it's erroneous, but we can't call the citizen a liar when they're on the phone. That's the number they provided us. Our only option is we try to call 409-888-8888 and nobody answers the phone, and we'll make note of it, and that'll be the best we can do. That is our largest struggle, is contact information for us to be able to contact people back.
Yeah, Councilman Hilliard?
Well, can we add a message in there that says we really need your information, but it could be used in Freedom of Information Act, or is there a way to make that protected?
I will address the open records.
You can.
So Entergy is not notified by 311 staff?
No. We will assist customer or citizens when they call. If there's a light out, we have been known for those that request help. If they provide us the number on the light, we will assist them in calling Entergy. But we have found that if the city calls, you don't get as big of a response as if the citizen calls Entergy themselves.
Okay, and so I mentioned that because this issue came up within the last week or two. The traffic light was out at 11th Street and I-10. My understanding is it went out around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Numerous people called 311. Several people told me that when they told 311, 311 indicated that they had received numerous calls about the traffic light being out. It was not until I became aware that the traffic light was out at 6 p.m. That I called Entergy, and Entergy said, "This is news to us." Transformer was out, and so that was 5 hours. It took them until about 10 o'clock that night to get it actually repaired once the call came in. And so that's just a perfect example right there where I think that 311 could do a better job. If 311 is going to take a report that a traffic light is out and not contact Entergy, I would hope that 311 would tell the caller, you must contact Entergy on your own, because if the power is out, that's not something that we do. And that just contributed to 5 o'clock traffic at a major intersection that was very problematic that day. And so I think that that's just something that maybe we need to do a little bit better job of improving.
Angie, the traffic management staff, when there is something like that incident in particular, traffic management staff will go out there and investigate the cause for the signal being out. So in that incident that you're referring to, traffic management staff themselves did reach out to Entergy and made that notification by the time they had gone out there and finished their investigation, which was around 2 p.m. So I understand that there were some other challenges that Entergy was enduring that day, but even if 311 didn't make that connection, traffic management staff does have contact information for Entergy, and they made that notification as well. But we can't speak for Entergy, their response times, their priorities, the things that they have going on as well. But they did make that, we will make that notification.
Okay, and that does make me feel better because traffic management did go out because there were stop signs placed at the intersection. But I can personally tell you that in order to try to address this, I followed up with Entergy, and they were very specific that the call center received no call from anyone, and that my call was the very first ticket that had been created for that traffic light. So maybe it's Entergy's fault and they dropped the ball, but I just wanted to be sure that if the city is not going to report issues like that to Entergy, that 311 callers be informed that they need to do that on their own, because the 311 callers that I spoke to were under the impression that the city was making the report.
And I do invite all of you to come in and sit in with 311, and you will see that their phones ring all day long, constantly. And they are not, they do not understand what it takes to make a traffic signal work. That's traffic management. But if somebody were to call and say, the signal's out, there's no power to the businesses around, 301 could definitely put in a ticket, and I can work with them on that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you. At this point, may I have a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
There is a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 1?
Thank you, Mayor. Council considered an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2026 budget, and it comes with the recommendation of approval of the ordinance.
Is there a motion for item number 1?
Move to approve.
Second.
There is a motion and a second for approval of item number 1. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving item number 1, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 2?
Council consider a resolution approving a permit payment to the Texas Commission on Environmental.
All those in favor of approving item number 3, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 4?
Council consider a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an advance funding agreement with the Texas Department of Transportation for the 2025 HSIP FM 364 Interconnect Signals Project, and it comes with the recommendation of approval of the resolution.
Is there a motion for item number 4?
To approve.
Second.
There is a motion and a second for approval of item number 4. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving item number 4, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 5, please?
Council to consider a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an industrial district agreement with Net Gasoline LLC, and it comes with the recommendation of approval of the resolution.
Is there a motion for item number 5? Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second for approval of item number 5 and discussion. Councilman Turner.
Just for staff, did we, what was the date we originally, can anybody kind of get some history when we originally did the first IDA agreement?
With Nat Gasoline, the original was I believe 2014.
And my follow-up, is it mandatory that we continue to roll the agreements with the same percentage? I know initially when we do agreements and abatements, it's kind of to assist and get companies up and going, but is it mandatory that we have to continue doing it the same way?
It is not mandatory, but we do have over 20 of these IDAs across the city, and most of them actually are outside of the city. And so the common practice for many, many years is to continue on with these, with the proposed scheme, which is 80% for the first 3 years, and then 75% for years 4 through 7.
Yeah, just me personally, you know, from an economic standpoint, if it's not mandatory, I kind of struggle to kind of continue doing it the same way. Is there anything prohibiting us from renegotiating or going back to the table to see if we can, what we can do, or are we investigating? You know, I know we talked about multiple times with guaranteed jobs of residents in the area, and we looked at the ROI and things of that magnitude.
You want me? I'll add to it. Just in 2025, this company paid us about 300-some thousand, so that would increase to about 3 million in this particular term. So because it's going to 80%, we are generating more revenue. These are initial investments based on the market and competitive. You know, how does Beaumont stay competitive? We do have some limitations with the tax restrictions when it comes to school districts. So cities will just have to be a little bit different in the way they propose different IDA agreements or abatements. So some of this is, like Chris is saying, in alignment with our county, but we have to look at this a little bit more comprehensive to make sure that we keep the industry here. And then as you see the numbers that I just presented to you, we do try to get these incremental investments in hopes that they continue to invest in the future. So we're going to try to keep staying aggressive, but we do have to be mindful of the economy. We look at industry, we look at if they'll skip over us and go to Louisiana. So sometimes it's a bit of a, we have to be able to capture those. And then there will be times where we can get a little aggressive, but we have to look out for the full portfolio. Like Chris said, we have about 20 of these industry agreements in place.
Yeah, and I understand it. I'm just looking at I understand the initial to actually bring in the business, but to just continuously just roll them over and over again, and we're not looking at, all options, I kind of struggle with that.
Yeah, and again, because of the number that we do deal with, there is an expectation. It's not to say you couldn't change it. The other thing to consider, though, is it is a reduced tax rate, but again, these are located outside of the city, so you have reduced services. So, that also is a part of the calculus.
Councilman Williams.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you kind of said it, but I was going to ask, them being outside the city, how does that play into the process and how we look at it?
Correct. So again, we just stated, but I think it's important to state again as to why we'd be reducing the tax rate. These are located outside of the city, and so in turn, we have reduced services. So in terms of, police, code enforcement, building enforcement, zoning, a lot of the things that, because these are industrial developments, we, the city, may not want to be involved in, and they as industrial don't really want us involved in. And so it's an agreement, again, that's been built over decades. And so these are the arrangements that we try to continue.
Councilman Crenshaw, did you?
Yeah. My question is, on these abatements, are there expiration dates where these things expire, or do they just happen into perpetuity? That's part one. And when we renegotiate, or if we are, I heard you say this is long-standing agreements, do we ever, go after, make sure we get the most, we're getting the most for what we need as a city out of these?
Right. So real quick, let me answer. So they are limited to 7 years, and so they are, you'll see them every 7 years. And I do think it's important to point out, because sometimes it gets a little confusing when it is new investment versus continuation. So ExxonMobil, they're not located within the city limits. Some folks don't know that because they're right sitting in the middle of the city, but they're actually not within the city limits. So it's important to understand that when let's say a new development comes along, a new investment comes along, that's usually a little bit different. So that's done more with a 312 industrial abatement. Although an existing corporation, an existing plant like this could come in and say, hey, we're going to do a new investment. We want to adjust the rates. We want to have a better abatement. So this is more ongoing. As opposed to something new or a significant investment where you might have something more like a 10-year, 100% abatement. So I just want to make sure that's a distinction made.
Before Miles gets into his point, I want to comment on Chris's. So we have a standard abatement for our existing. So the continuation ones are standard. So that 80-75, that's just a standard thing that we offer for everyone, so that we don't have multiple agreements and people saying, oh, you offered X on this and next. So the 80-75% that you see is standard for existing projects. For new projects, we typically bring those to council and discuss those in executive session to see what would you, if they're talking about expansion, if they're talking about adding or bringing something new to Beaumont and they're asking for an abatement, we typically do something different because the terms are different. It's not an established business. They're talking about bringing something they're building, to Councilman Turner's point. So that's where there's a difference in terms of how we negotiate and how we do things. Slightly different is when there's a new ongoing project. For existing projects, this is our standard across the board agreement, 80%, 75% in the later years, because this is what we've determined is fair. Now, the 80% is based off the existing tax rate. So they're not locked in to whatever the tax rate was. It's the existing rate.
Councilman Crenshaw?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I may have our companies mixed up, but isn't this also the same company that provides the city, as part of its strategic partnership, some type of benefits at our landfill? Where
No, that's a different one.
That's not the
Different.
same. Okay. So when we talk about the city's strategic partnership, what is that?
Well, again, the city of Beaumont has a long history of petrochemical-based economy. Some of that is located within the city. Most of it is outside of the city. So this, as mentioned, is one of those 20 petrochemical, provides a lot of economic impact to our city, a lot of jobs, whether they live in Beaumont or not. A lot of those folks shop in Beaumont. You also have secondary, tertiary industry that helps support those industries. So we just want to make sure that, we continue that partnership moving forward.
Thank you.
Can I add something?
Yes. City Manager.
I guess a short answer to it is council can answer what it wants. It's still up to you and what you want to see in these agreements. But typically, these companies are good neighbors and they want to have good relationships with the city, so they're going to do things to work with the city to make sure it's beneficial to them. It's important to note, as you said, that they are outside the city, so they don't have to pay the city any taxes. It's only through this IDA agreement do they agree to pay you taxes, so they could say, we can take our ball and go home too. So this 80%, this 80% goes up every year as their property values increase, their real property and their equipment properties. As that increase, we naturally get an increase every year out of these companies. And as Sheree said, our property tax rate goes up. So it naturally increases over time too. But remember too, you can do what you want to, but too, they are outside the city limit and the threat of annexation is not there anymore that cities used to have over these companies that were adjacent to their city limits.
Thank you. And for clarity, I believe with the industrial district agreements, they pay that and they also pay for any services that they do get from the city in addition to that. All right. Any other discussion? Yes, Councilman Turner.
Just for me, I feel more comfortable when we do these if it's reporting, whether it's jobs and residents, we can't force anybody, but I like to see, the documents on, jobs for people who actually reside in the city of Beaumont, as well as, training and what we're doing, because we are, in theory, giving something. And I understand they can leave if they wanted to. I do understand that. But initially, I know a lot of these agreements will give the initial agreement to actually negotiate to get them in. So that's just kind of where I'm at. I just think, when we look at the revenue, just to keep rolling it over and over again, I'm having a hard time being consistent with that.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Any other discussion? Councilman Williams?
So I just want to understand, if we didn't offer them the reduced tax rate, being that we offer them lesser services, could they seek those services somewhere else? I mean, is that, or are they kind of tied to us?
They're fairly tied. It's just the kind of services, beyond fire protection, something like that, they don't really want our services, and conversely, we don't necessarily want to provide a lot of the city services, code enforcement, building code, zoning.
So it's them saying, we don't really need you, and we agree that and pay them or offer them a lesser rate then?
Correct.
All right, if no other discussion or questions, all those in favor of approving item number 5, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 6?
Council, consider a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an industrial district agreement with Air Liquide, Large Industries, USLP, and it comes with the recommendation of approval of the resolution.
Is there a motion for item number 6?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second for item number 6. Is there any questions about item number 6? All those in favor of approving item number 6, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 7?
Council, consider resolution authorizing the city manager to execute change order number 1 to the contract with Structure Guard LLC for the Cattail Marsh Wetlands Outfall Piling Rehabilitation Project, and it comes with the recommendation of approval. Excuse me.
Is there a motion for item number 7?
Move to approve.
Second.
There is a motion and a second for item number 7. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving item number 7, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 8?
Council to consider amending an ordinance providing for the reimbursement of capital expenditures incurred prior to the closing of financing, and it comes with the recommendation of approval of the ordinance.
Is there a motion for item number 8?
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Second. There is a motion and a second for approval of item number 8. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving item number 8, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 9, please?
Consider approval of an amendment to ordinance 8-015 to modify the boundaries of the neighborhood empowerment zone number 2, and it comes with recommendation of approval.
Is there a motion for item number 9?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second for approval of item number 9. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving item number 9, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion is carried. All right, as we move into the public hearing, I got with our city attorney to determine how we do this, since this is the first one since 2020. And I am told that when we open the public hearing, that the first statement will be made by Councilwoman Sherwood, and then we will open the public hearing for those that signed up, and then council will speak. Councilwoman Sherwood?
So, Mayor, you have to open the public hearing first.
The public hearing is now open.
Thank you.
I need to read the item.
Sure.
Yeah. Council to conduct a public hearing to discuss the conduct of Councilmember Williams and Councilmember Hilliard for alleged violations of the city charter.
Now, Councilwoman.
I woke up today with a heavy heart. I hate that we're at this point because I never really wanted this for the city, and I just kind of don't like that we're in this situation. I offered twice before this meeting to have some resolution kind of to retract the censure and possibly move forward without creating more division and being able to move forward on a different path, you know, like maybe we can just admit that we made some mistakes perhaps or said the wrong thing, but I was kind of met with my First Amendment right and my fiscal responsibility and my this and that and the other, and I'm just gonna stand by what I said and I don't care. So at this point, I feel like, you know, sometimes listening to the wrong people can land us in situations. Can you start by making the, yes, please. How we got here, let's start there. No, the post, I'm sorry. Yes. Yes. So originally, this was the post. I didn't see the post. I was alerted to the post, and then we had a meeting. I immediately contacted the city attorney and I said, well, can we do that? Is that a violation? And I was informed that it could possibly be a violation, but we were gonna have to see how that played out. In our meeting, we all had our comments. Can you play that?
At this time. Thank you. Councilman Williams.
Thank you. Well, I guess I'll start at the bottom of my list. You know, I made a comment yesterday, and I don't believe it did violate the city charter. And I will submit my post to Sheree, and I'd be happy to get her opinion and you know, respect what she says. There's nothing personal about what I said. There's nothing petty. It's rooted in years of facts, of reality, of short staffing, of overworked men and women that protect us within this city. And that's where it came from. And we saw a change in policy that had been begged for years, that was presented to prior councils and ignored, put into place, and work immediately. I mean, we live in a city where there was outrage over $100,000 payment to a bond consulting firm. We should be dancing in the streets over millions of dollars in overtime spent. And that's why I called for the chief and the assistant chief's resignation. And I stand by that today. That's all I have.
Councilman Turner.
Madam City Attorney, we submitted emails per the council meeting that we would respect and or accept your opinion as to what the charter states. Can we discuss that here, or can we produce that information here?
So attorney-client privilege only extends to the council as a whole. And because the opinion was requested by one individual council member, it can be shared.
Okay, so what we're gonna look at now is the email submitted by Councilmember Williams to after the meeting where we said we will submit the request to get an opinion. We submitted a request to get an opinion. Here's the email. If you wanna look, I've got some hard copies if anybody wants one, of what the email stated and what the response to the email was as well. Yes. It was the city attorney's opinion that the charter had been violated. I had a whole lot of things that I wanted to say today, but you could take us into public comment.
All right, thank you. May we have first person signed up for public comment?
Chris Jones, 1045 Doucette Avenue, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council, City Manager, City Attorney, City Clerk. Thank you all for your time on this afternoon. I definitely wanted to come speak to you all specifically on this particular issue. And I did prepare something, and I will be submitting that in writing as well. I rise to speak to you for this censure motion. And to make something crystal clear, this vote is not about protecting anyone's constitutional right. It's about pushing a breach of city charter, the same document these gentlemen, well, actually everyone here on the dais swore to defend with their hands on their Bibles, promised to serve us, not their private friendships. You see, a citizen has the right to gift $1,000 in Astro tickets to their buddies. A citizen can toast a targeted hire at Minute Maid Park and post it online. A citizen can whisper in a union hall about who should get the next chief badge, but a council person cannot. Because the moment you took that oath, you surrendered the right to pretend you are just one of the guys. You became the fiduciary legally bound to 100 and some odd thousand taxpayers, residents, neighbors, more than citizens. These alleged conservatives who campaign on limited government and fiscal responsibility have been using their offices to groom a fire chief candidate they do not even have the authority to hire. Diamond Club seats, parking passes, introductions to Houston mayors, all documented on your social media posts, all while their senior firefighters, really serving the most, whom don't even live in Beaumont, cash overtime checks for a contract they wrote themselves. Make that make sense. This is not representation. This is theft by convention and conversation. The censure is deserved, but understand this, it's just a scratch on the surface. Because for those of you who read the charter, we know the 9 months you are on the recall clock. So let's get this situated today. Thank you.
Abigail Morales, 1045 Church Street, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here in support of the motions to censure and as a resident frustrated by what our city has been forced to focus on the past few weeks. While council has been pulled into public arguments and back and forth, many serious things are happening in our community that don't feel like they're getting the same attention. Beaumont Animal Care is overwhelmed, underfunded, and in need of resources and new leadership. Our immigrant community is living in fear. Just last week, a local resident who was here legally was detained by ICE. Our air is polluted and resources used up by companies that are consistently given tax breaks while our community pays the price. Our public schools are struggling with decisions being made in Austin that don't feel centered on our kids. This is where our focus should be. But I also want to be clear. Firefighter concerns about staffing, overtime, do deserve to be taken seriously because their service to our city is admirable. But how our leaders deal with those problems matter. Because in a city like Beaumont, context matters too. When conflicts like these are escalated publicly and turned into spectacle, they don't exist in a vacuum. They land in a community where race, power, and trust have long been points of division. Whether intended or not, the posts and comments made by Councilman Williams and Hilliard only deepened the existing divisions and distrust instead of fixing the underlying problems in our community. Of course, we need people with bold changes, but we need it done in a way that actually fixes things instead of tearing our city apart. So censure is not protecting the system or distracting from the real issue. It is about setting clear boundaries and reaffirming the rules of our charter. It matters because it draws a line between true accountability and chaos. Now more than ever, given the issues I listed and the state of our federal government, our city needs stability and focus. We deserve leaders who take action and build unity, not ones who use words to sow discord. That is why I speak today as a resident of the city to support the censures of both councilmen and ask that going forward, you use your platforms to inform, not divide, and to lift up, not tear down. Thank you for your time.
All I have, Mayor.
Anybody else? All right, with that, now we open it up to council. Anybody on council like to address this? Councilman Durio?
Thank you, Mayor. So I don't know if everybody knows exactly what these councilmen did, but just got a little something I want to say. I'm like the longest serving councilman on this council and one of the oldest members of this body. In all my years of service, I've never witnessed this level of repeated misconduct. What are we dealing with is no longer inexperience, it is a pattern of violations. You know, we extended grace to newly elected council members, but that has exhausted. Behavior is it's just out of hand, and it needs to stop. It needs to stop. Every one of us was formally briefed on the city charter, council rules, and legal obligations when we took our office. City staff provided that training, and I took it upon myself to learn the rules and follow the law. Ignorance is no longer an excuse. At our last meeting, I was asked a very direct question. Can matters discussed in executive session be discussed publicly? The answer was no. Despite that, Councilmember Williams went directly to the Beaumont Enterprise and disclosed discussions that occurred in executive session. And that's not a misunderstanding, that's a clear violation of the Texas Open Meetings Act. And then one of the reasons why we're here is a serious breach of attorney-client privilege. Executive session is when council is having a discussion with our attorney. Okay. Furthermore, Councilman Williams publicly attacked the communications department on September the 8th, 2025, and then doubled down by giving an interview to the Beaumont Enterprise on September 21st, 2025 on the same issue. Conduct is unacceptable and it undermines city staff. I said time and time again, city staff is here to help us do our job. We're supposed to work with city staff, not fight them, not go around them. They're the professionals. We're supposed to use those folks. Councilmember Joey, Joe, you asked Ms. LaDonna to be a fourth vote. Y'all had just got on council. That's clearly a violation of the Open Meetings Act. That's something that was just that's grace that was abused. You then went into multiple city departments telling people there's a new sheriff in town. You are not their supervisor. You do not run those departments. That conduct is interference with city operations, plain and simple. You supervise 4 employees, city manager, city attorney, city clerk, city magistrate. That's it. No individual council member has the authority to place the fire chief or assistant fire chief on the agenda. We don't have the authority to tell the city manager, you need to fire them. We just don't. As somebody mentioned earlier, they get evaluated. They have evaluations, and that's how that process works. This is not personal. Like I said, it's about law, authority, and accountability, and we all have to follow those rules. Every last one of us that's sitting up here. And if these actions continue, the consequences will not be hypothetical. They can possibly lead to legal matters. We just discussed this at the last meeting, and right after the meeting, right back on social media with this stuff. I expect and I hope after today, everyone on this dais understand their roles and their limits and the seriousness of the oath we took. This council will follow the law and the charter the citizens approved that we all represent. So that, and another thing, we are expending a lot of time and energy on this mess, but wasn't necessary because we've got a lot of important things that we need to be doing. But this is important, and something's going to have to be done about it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll talk.
Councilman Williams?
Yeah, at the last meeting, I did say that I would respect Sheree's, our city attorney's opinion, and I do respect it. And I respectfully disagree. That's something that adults in a room can do, respectfully disagree. And, you know, the beautiful part about today is that we are sitting at City Hall and we can share our opinion. We are not in a courtroom where truths must be told, because a lot of what I've heard is not true. And with that said, I'm going to read a statement to
Y'all, please be quiet, and y'all have had, not you.
Okay, no.
But people.
You sure? Today to me is about whether members of this council are permitted to speak candidly about performance, leadership, and outcomes, even whenever those conversations are uncomfortable. Our charter gives council members a duty to represent public interest, not to act as a public relations arm for appointed officials or the institution itself. Censure is an extraordinary action. It should be reserved for clear misconduct, not for disagreement, criticism, or dissent. There's something deeply backwards about a body that has presided over years of decline within our city, yet chooses to spend its time lecturing its members about decorum instead of confronting results. If this body uses censure to police tone or shield itself from scrutiny, it creates a chilling effect, not just for council members, but for every citizen who expects honesty from their representatives. I stand by the principle of accountability, transparency, and open debate, and I do not believe that they are violations of the charter. That is the foundation of our government. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Hilliard?
$14 million. It would fix the animal shelter. It would make sure your toilet's flush. $14 million. As a business owner, I heard someone speak of a business owner. Well, if 85% of your employees said this is a hostile work environment, and if given the opportunity, will find employment elsewhere. As a business owner, you listen, because the employees are the backbone of your business. And so you listen to them. So we didn't just come by this decision lightly. I ran on change. Someone here said they went and saw me speak. I talked about change. I didn't say it was going to be easy. I didn't say that we were going to be roses and the whole time. The fact is that we have to make hard choices. We have to start with where we're losing money. How can we fix this? How can we make it better? How can we do the right thing? And so, you know, I spoke out, and I will continue to speak out for what's right and what's true. You know, we have to quit hemorrhaging money. We have to hold our department heads accountable. We have to make sure that we're getting the best bang for our buck, no matter what. And so, you know, I have never said anything, and I don't believe Mike has either, derogatory or ugly about Chief White. I think he's a great man. He's a dear friend of mine, and I have had sleepless nights dealing with this. I have seen page after page after page of retaliation against firemen that speak up. I've seen page after page of things that are going on within this fire department that are not right. We don't have any employee evaluations that have been shown to me. Evidently, employee evaluations are not being done on our department heads. So, we have to make these hard decisions. I represent 25,000 people that want answers, that want to know why their taxes are going up, why their water rates are going up, why their sewage rates are going up. And so we have to give them that answer. This is a business decision. I mean, we are a council that's supposed to oversee the city. I realize that we oversee 4 employees, but we are here to oversee the city manager and make sure that we hold those department heads accountable. And so that's what my plan is to do, is to make this city run more efficiently, to have the money to fix the animal shelter, to have the money to make sure that our toilets flush, to make sure that we don't flood when it rains. And so that's what we're trying to do. I'm sorry that it's been taken the wrong way, but all this is a business decision to make our city better for all of us. You want to move forward? Then we have to change. We can't keep getting stuck in the past. We have to do the hard things, and that's what we signed up for, to do the hard things. And, social media is a way to get to the masses, to tell the people that voted for us what's going on. I ran on the cadet program. We did it. I ran on stopping the train noises. We did it as a council. I made promises to the people that went out and cast a vote. Now, mind you, I take that serious. I was willing to die in the service of our country to give each one of us in here the right to go out and cast a vote, because to me, it's one of the most important things that we possess. And so I take it serious. The people voted. I said I wanted to make a change, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. And so, I hate that we have brought it to this, or that it's come to this, but I'm trying to do the right thing. Mike's trying to do the right thing. We're trying to make this city better. We're trying to make it better for all of us, so that our children and our grandchildren want to stay here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Turner?
Just for some clarity points, has the city of Beaumont ever done a cadet program with the fire department? Can anybody answer, has this ever taken place?
It wasn't exactly a cadet program. They just hired us as grade 1 firefighters and ran us through the academy. That's how it was when I got hired, and so the older guys.
And those certs,
right? No, we didn't have any certs. They certified us through the fire academy. It was run by Lamar University at the time.
And it was presented to prior councils and ignored. Chief, have you ever in the past presented, and Mr. Manager, I don't know if you're okay with this, but has a cadet program ever been presented to the council since prior councils? And the reason I'm asking, because I know you have approached
Can you come
us
to the podium,
with a program.
Chief?
He don't want to. This ain't about that.
It is a program that's been working on logistically with legal and the city manager to present to make sure that we rolled it out correctly.
So yes, it has been
Yes.
presented and worked on to prior council. It hasn't been ignored. It's been presented and worked on, correct?
Yes.
I just wanted that to be out there, and it's important, again, that we as council members communicate, because when people say things, we are forced to respond. We're forced to respond. One thing about me is I probably have sat down with everybody up here on this dais, as well as sat down with everybody I worked with on previous councils. I'm completely okay with agreeing and disagreeing and having tough conversations that may be uncomfortable. I understand when it comes to financial decisions. I also learned when I first got on council, I had an issue with overtime. And the way I learned to properly address that is during budget season, we pass the budget. If we don't agree, we don't have to pass the budget. Secondly, when you evaluate and look at overtime, you have to evaluate and look at overtime across the board. You don't single out one department. You have to do a financial forecast and look at where we were the last 5 years and where we're going. It's not one department that's over budget with overtime. In the presentation that happened on last year with the private council, it was multiple departments. And with public safety being our biggest department, 60% of the budget, their overtime budget is extremely larger than every other department. It's not just the fire department, it's also the police department. So I'm all for accountability and transparency, and maybe we need to do another workshop and visit and update the council on the previous plan and let new council members have input on what took place. But the way to do that is through a workshop. We give our city manager clear direction and a timeline to get those things done. If he don't meet the goals and the timelines, then accountability falls on the city manager. And that's the way the process works. If we want things to change, we have authority as a council to put a charter committee together and attempt to change the charter. Or we have authority to give direction to the city manager, but we have to give clear direction. I've had dialogue with my colleagues about what took place. I honestly respect their opinions and their stances. But just because I respect their opinions and their stances don't mean I necessarily have to agree. And what I've learned in life, it's okay to agree to disagree and move on. And that's what I don't mind doing on today. I'm okay if we don't agree. I'm okay if you rather do it or you have this approach or this perspective. But we have to have respect and do things in decency and order and through the proper channels. And that's why that document is created. Ms. Attorney, do we have the authority to put the fire chief or the assistant chief on the agenda?
No, sir.
So that's what the issues are. It's not to the fact that we have opinions. I respect everybody up here. I'm not going to single out just individuals. I think everybody up here ran to make a difference and work hard for the city of Beaumont. And regardless of what happens today, Mike and Joey, I still respect you and I still will work with both of y'all. You don't stop working just because you're going through a rough path or you're experiencing something that may be a little complex. But we have to go through the proper channels and attempt to do things the right way in which we're governed by and what we do. So that's why I struggle with this, because we have the authority to do workshops. We have the authority to give clear direction. We have the authority to give timelines and goals. And we're looking at financial decisions. We have to look at the overall budget, not single out a particular department. Because, Madam Attorney, when I had my concerns and you educated me on the process, because I didn't just jump out there, I came to you and asked you how to get this done, and how did you explain it to me?
Which one exactly?
With the overtime.
I suggested that you first consult with the city manager and that you then, if it was necessary, ask specifically for information from the fire chief through the city manager.
Yes, and at that time, Councilmember Mike Getz was my second, and we did a workshop to discuss overtime overall in the city of Beaumont. And the city manager outlined plans, goals, and objectives of how he would address it in the timeline, what we're trying to accomplish it by. And it's important because I learned when I first got on council, I came on saying all types of things that we should have been doing, and the council's never done this, and the council's never done that. And I admit it, I made a mistake. It was on me that I didn't educate myself on what took place prior to me being on council. And I own that. So I asked that we at least communicate with one another to see what's going on prior to making these decisions. Because when we make these decisions, we make these kind of comments, it can be, misconstrued and taken out of content and done the wrong way. So I just want to kind of discuss these things, and it's important to get everything out there and see what we can do to move forward.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. Councilman Crenshaw, did you have?
Tina, can you please put up the email from Sheree that I sent you? This email that's from the city attorney, is in response to a question I asked if council has the any legal say-so in the fire chief. And her response is that state law does allow city council members to either approve or reject the position of the fire chief. And the reason why I think that is significant and important to add is that the charter does not speak to that, okay? But state law does, and state law supersedes the charter. And in this situation, it's not solely the responsibility of the city manager. Individual council members do have a say-so when that position is appointed. And I do believe that there is a distinction there. And that distinction, I think, is significant. And for us to ignore that ignores the idea that this is something where council members are not allowed to speak on issues such as that, when in reality, state law does give council members individually the authority to express their opinion. That said, it's been a difficult couple of weeks, and I greatly appreciate Councilman Turner sitting down with me for hours with Mike Williams in an effort to reconcile the situation shy of what we're having to do today. And I also appreciate Councilwoman Sherwood also indicating that reconciliation could happen. And it is very disheartening that that was not able to happen. I wish we were not in this situation here today. It's Christmas time. My Christmas party starts in an hour and a half. I would like to be sharing the cheer and the joy of Christmas. And in the words of Frances Bowman, Grandma Frances, I wish that we didn't have to do this right now. And I wish that reconciliation would have prevailed. So with that, I'm asking as a formal request, and again, we're kind of in a new zone here. We're not used to this procedure, but when we are able to make motions on this issue, I will make a motion that we table this issue in the spirit of Christmas and in the spirit of what Frances Bowman said. And we get out there and focus on the holidays and come back and discuss this in January with the formal vote. And it would be my Christmas wish that somehow between now and then this might be reconciled.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Sherwood? Did you? Yeah.
I get to go last. You want to talk first? I think I get to close it.
All right, if you want to close, I'll let
Can
you
I
close.
say one thing? I just, as I've always done as city manager, because I've heard city manager a lot, I've always offered to this council, when you have any issue, to please come and discuss it with me, and I will work with you to get it resolved. There hasn't been an issue where I haven't worked with a council member to get resolved. There were prior issues with the two council members. One was the budget. And I offered to please come see me, and you did. And we sat down and we cut millions of dollars out of the budget and me working with you because you came to me because you had an issue. Likewise with the communication department, you had a problem with that, and you came to me, and we sat down and we worked through it, and we came up with a resolution that was good for everyone. So I just want the public to be clear that any issue like this, any council member can come and speak to me as the city manager, and we can discuss those issues and work toward a resolution. So, it says city manager's authority. I've got to know it's a problem. If I don't know it's a problem, I can't fix it. We worked on overtime. We were working on overtime. I just sat down with the union and the fire administration and got both of them to agree that we're going to work on overtime. And that's how we've come up with the new cadet program. So I encourage you, if you have any issue, come see me and let's talk about it, and let me work with you toward getting a resolution to whatever issue you may have. And I will say, in this situation, no one came to me to work on this situation. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, and I'm hoping that one thing we can take away from here is clearly this has been a concern to many people, and certainly everybody on this council. And the fact of the way it was done, I don't believe the council was even given a chance to rectify this beforehand, and certainly by going to the city managers the first stop. I mean, we are on city council. This is our role. I want to give a little bit of history because we're talking about this a lot, and I think people need to understand. In Texas, once your city hits 5,000 people, you could be a home rule city. And it requires, if you have a city charter, it has to be voted on by the public. And our charter was voted on in 1947, and we became a council manager form of government at that point. So we've been a council manager form of government for 78 years, 77 years. So, and of the home rule cities, which there's several hundred in Texas, 85 to 90% of them, according to TML, are council manager forms of government. So this is a very common form of government, and it works this way throughout Texas. And also throughout those charters, it clearly assigns personnel authority to the city manager. That structure exists because it's important to ensure professional management, to protect employees from political pressure, and to provide stability and accountability in city operations. When those lines are crossed, it creates confusion for the public, certainly undermines employee morale, and weakens trust in city government. And I think it's important for us to all remember, although we're all city council people, it takes four of us for us to take city council action. So that's an important difference. Disagreements are certainly a part of public service. They're a part of life. They're healthy when they focus on our city's vision, priorities, and policies through ordinances, resolutions, and strategic planning. Our charter, our policies, our code of conduct exists to guide us through moments exactly like this. And as mayor, I take the responsibility real serious. I think it's best to uphold the city charter to ensure that this form of government functions as it intends to. While council members are entitled to their opinions, public demands for resignation of city employees, particularly those whom the city council has no legal authority, I certainly believe are inconsistent with the city charter. I believe this moment calls for a recommitment to our oath, to the charter that governs us, and the people of Beaumont did not ask us for theatrics. They asked us for steady, lawful leadership, and that is what I'd like for us to provide. Councilwoman Sherwood, I will allow you to close out the public last comment in public hearing.
Corey, I like what you said. Councilman Crenshaw, I like what you said. It's just a little bit late because, again, I already asked twice to resolve this and put this aside and not deal with this in hopes that this wouldn't land right here. So this is not really about state law or what the state allows people to accept or reject appointments, because even if you accepted or rejected an appointment, you still would have to send that to somebody, particularly perhaps the city manager, whom he just said he wasn't contacted. So even if you had that opinion and you were inside of the state law, which allow you to accept or reject an appointment, you didn't even contact the person that needs to go to even do that. So I'm just really at a place of I'm tired of people playing in my face. And this is not about overtime. This is not about poor performance. This is not about fiscal responsibility. This is not about the First Amendment rights. This is not about silencing people. This is not about any of that. Because we could have worked together to resolve this, but that was taken off the table when nobody was considered, not the city manager, not the city council, not anybody. We're just gonna say whatever we want to. So for me, if everybody is saying whatever they want to and sticking by what they're saying, right, then I guess correction is kind of in order, because we don't have the authority to hire or fire, call for resignations, put people in and out of, you said they can make approvals or rejections, but they got to make them to somebody and they didn't contact that person. So I don't get it. Nevertheless, since everybody got an opinion and they standing by it, I'm standing by mine. I'm standing on business about the charter and about how I feel. And I think this didn't go through the proper channels and it wasn't done right. And then I offered to resolve it and that wasn't good enough. And when we can't admit that we have, it don't take nothing off of me to say I made a mistake. I mean, even I offered to say, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe we could have worked this through. That wasn't enough either. So this going in right now, today.
All right, with that, the public hearing is closed. And Mr. City Manager, would you, may we have the reading of item number 10?
Council to consider the censure of Council Member Michael Williams. No recommendation.
Okay, and City Attorney, just for clarity, when you're on the agenda, are you allowed to vote on that item?
So according to the rules that council adopted on December 2nd, it says that the complaint, in the case of a complaint against a city council member, the matter shall be decided by a majority of the remainder of council members at the public meeting, which means the council member at subject will be excluded from voting. Item 10 would exclude Councilmember Williams, and item 11 would exclude Councilmember Hilliard.
Okay. Is there a motion for item number 10?
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I'd make a motion to table this to the next meeting in January.
Okay, there's I don't think that requires, does that require a second?
So a motion to amend, and I'm assuming that's what he's attempting to do, would not require a second. A second motion would require a second, but that would have to be the first initial motion would do it. So according to the council decorum rules, a member of council can make an amendment to a motion without the necessity of a second, and then that motion would need to be decided before the initial motion.
So with that, if there's not any discussion, I will take the vote on the amendment to table. Any discussion on that? All right, all those in favor of tabling item number 10 until the first meeting in January signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
I'm opposed as well. All right, so.
You go back to your original motion.
All right, is there any discussion on, any additional discussion on item number 10? All those in favor of approving item number 10, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
The motion carries. Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 11?
Council to consider the censure of Council Member Joseph Hilliard with no recommendation.
All right, is there a motion for item number 11?
Move to approve.
Second.
There is a motion and a second for approval of item number 11. Is there any discussion?
Same amendment, Mr. Mayor, to table this till the next meeting in January.
Okay. All right, there is, so we're going to first vote on an amendment to table this to January 6th, I believe that date is. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of tabling this item number 11 until January 6th, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
The motion fails. Mr. City Manager, okay, we have the motion for item number 11. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of approving item number 11, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
The motion is carried. All right, at this point, we're moving into council member comments. And we will start with Councilman Durio.
Thank you, Mayor. As some of us have already said, I hate that we had to go through this. I'm glad that it's behind us right now, and I hope we can move on and work together. That's what we're supposed to do. This was something that we expended a lot of time and energy on needlessly, excuse me. And everybody have happy holidays and a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Williams? Comments? Closing comments?
Hilliard.
Hilliard, sorry.
Yes.
Well, I want to start by thanking Demi's department. We had to use them on a personal deal, and the department did a great job. Your people are very friendly, and they actually were very helpful. So I want to say thank you, and I appreciate you and your department, what you're doing. So awesome. Other than that, that's it.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Turner?
I want to extend gratitude to Cameron Gerard and Allie. A tragic death took place with TxDOT. It was pretty sad for the community. A lot of people came together, and, you know, just watching what that family went through and attending one of those funerals and trying to support the other young lady to get the funding for the funeral, my heart truly goes out to the family. Ms. Gerard was actually my teacher in high school, one of my favorite teachers, and just to see the joy she had at the funeral made me have a completely different perspective on life. She knew how she raised her son. She knew what her morals and values were, and she knew she was rooted, and she rooted him to believe in God, and she believes he's in a better place. So to see her smile and have joy through a funeral really helped me and motivated me to just do better in life. Shout out to the recreational department. They just finished our first ever youth football league. Mr. Williams, we've been working on this for over 2 years, and to see it come to fruition, to see little kids out there playing flag football, pulling the flags off each other. I was able to attend championship day and help with the trophies, and I really appreciate what took place out there. It is very inspirational. Right now, we currently have youth basketball signups. So if you have kids that are interested in youth sports, we have signups at the recreational center on Gulf Street. Other than that, my wife made me remember to say her birthday is coming up this weekend. So happy birthday, baby. I just want to let you know happy birthday. I didn't forget, so I won't be in trouble, but thank you for everything you do, and thank you for everybody who attended. We respect everybody's opinion, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Williams?
No comment. Everybody have a Merry Christmas, and that's it.
Thank you. Councilwoman Sherwood?
I'd like to say that I'm praying for the families that have lost loved ones this season. I know what that feels like, so I'm praying for the people that are going to be missing somebody. And no matter what, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, y'all be blessed.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Crenshaw?
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. See you all January 6th.
Thank you, Councilman. Madam City Attorney?
I would also like to extend my sincere condolences to the Gerard family. I have, extensive ties to that family, and as Councilman Turner said, the service was absolutely beautiful, and we really lost a jewel of Beaumont and Cam. I also want to congratulate the boys at Memorial and Western Stark. They had a sad ending to their football season, but they played really well. And so our community should be proud of them. Hey, I support.
Where's Orange Star Claus?
Yeah. Oh, did they
Still
win?
in it.
They win. Oh, my bad. My bad. Look, I went to the Memorial game, so everybody lost to me. But congratulations, Western Stark then. Sorry. But I do also want to say this has been a very sad holiday season. We've had mass shootings and losses. So I want to extend my condolences also to the Jewish community for those individuals that were lost in the Hanukkah celebration in Australia. I also want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate and however you celebrate. I hope you're safe this holiday season and look forward to serving in 2026.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. Ms. Biller.
Just want to wish everyone a happy Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah to our Jewish friends and neighbors. And since this is the last scheduled meeting of the year, wish everybody a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager.
I'd just like to say it's been a difficult time for this council, difficult weeks. This has been a difficult meeting. I just hope you work to find some common ground somewhere as a group, as a board. You're not going to agree on anything. You're not going to agree on most things, but maybe find some common ground somewhere that you can build from. This is not going to end today, but we just need to start working towards some common ground. And I'll just leave it at that. Happy holidays.
All right, and there has been much loss, and certainly the mass shootings as well as the traffic accidents in this that has touched this community. And I certainly my prayers go out, as well as I thank everybody for attending today, and I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And
Mayor.
Yes.
I had one last thing.
Yes.
I just want to wish the manager just recently had a birthday. Just want to tell him happy birthday.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. And with that, we are now recessed into executive session.